Welcome. Alright guys, welcome back to another video. In this video, this is going to be my top 10 favorite fairy tale fights. I would like to know what your favorite fights are, if you've seen it. If you haven't seen it, what the hell are you doing? You had all quarantine. You ain't do nothing besides work and like schoolwork and nothing. So you had time to watch Fairy Tale then. Like, just watch it. Just watch it. Please just watch. I'm begging you. We're gonna start off with number 10. Number 10 is Mary Jane versus Freed. I like this fight because this is the first display of raw physical power that we've seen from Mary Jane. Raw physical and magic power that we've seen from Mary Jane. Mary Jane was hyped up to be like she was Urza's rival. She was supposed to be as strong as Urza. She's an S-class wizard mage. And when the first time when I seen her fight Freed, she went dummy stupid. She went crazy, bro. Like it was honestly rape. Freed used his magic dark Ecriture against her brother Elfman. Freed himself said that his dark Ecriture pain is supposed to be worse than death itself. So basically Elfman was screaming in pain while Mary Jane was watching, and she remembered back to her sister, well, her dead sister that Elfman killed because he couldn't control his power, and then seeing how Elfman was getting, you know, hurt and injured and screaming in pain, it just broke something in her. She transformed. She used her takeover magic, and used Satan's soul, which basically means she could transform into demons. She transformed into her Satan soul. Her first Satan soul, and she destroyed him. She destroyed Freed pretty bad. Freed himself even turned into a demon. That still didn't help at all. She really just like destroyed him. So that's really why I like that fight, to be honest. It was a cool fight, a cool display of her powers. Number 9 is Natsu versus Zancro. I like this fight because this is actually a fight that I believe Natsu struggled in the most. I think the second fight before the second fight that Natsu struggled in before this fight, like this fight happened before the Natsu versus Zancro fight, was the Natsu versus Cobra fight, because Cobra is the poison dragon slayer, but he can hear anything. Like, he can hear your mind. He'll hear what you're thinking inside of your mind, and he'll know what you're doing, and you know your plan and all that stuff. So Natsu kind of did struggle. He really did struggle against him pretty badly, to the point where Natsu had to end it with a roar, literally like a dragon roar. He just roared in his ears, and it just hurt. Because obviously, if his ears work like that, then I mean they must be pretty sensitive to sound. But I feel like he struggled in this fight more. Early on in the series, Natsu was stated that Natsu was able to eat fire. Eat any type of fire, be immune to fire. When he went up against Zancro, that was proven to be a different story. I mean, it's Natsu can still eat fire and is immune to fire, but Natsu is, like I said, the fire dragon slayer. Well, see, Zancro is the fire god slayer. Zancro said something about his flames being uneatable, and his flames are purer than dragon slaying fire, or something like that. Zancro could make anything with his fire. Like he can make a scythe, bigger fists, make a cage. So at that whole fight, Natsu was struggling against Zancro pretty bad. He couldn't eat his fire. But he did end up eating his fire. He ended up eating it when Natsu, like he trapped Natsu in a cage of his fire, of his god fire. And he said Natsu would have died if he stayed in there any longer. We all thought he died, but Zancro thought he died, and so did Makarov. Basically, Natsu emptied out all his magical power on purpose so he could eat the god flames. And he ate the god flames, and he became the fire dragon god slayer. He beat the crap out of Zancro. He used a variation of his fire dragon brilliant flame, and this is word for word what he said. He said, with the flames on my left hand and the flames on my right hand, you put them together and you get Fire Dragon God Brilliant Flame. And it came down on him like it was a ball of fire that was mixed with his dragon slaying and the Fire God Slayer magic, and it came down on Zancro and it just destroyed him. Yeah, I like that fight. And I also like Zancro's design. The only thing I don't like about him is his laugh. His laugh pisses me off a little bit, I'm not gonna lie. Number 8, Sting versus Larcade. This is the first fight on this list that's from Fairy Tail the final season. I like this fight because one, we barely get Sting fights. Sting's only in like 3 or 4 fights, maybe 2. But we finally get to see Sting in another good fight. Like I say, he was only in a few. Anyway, this fight was good because of the fact that, like I said, you barely get to see Sting fight. We get a full description of Larcade's powers, because his powers, I'm not gonna lie, probably are some of the weirdest powers in anime. Basically, he can do a couple different things. He can control your sex drive, which basically is saying he can make you very horny. He can control your hunger, make you very hungry to the point where you'll start devouring other people because you're imagining them as food. And his most deadliest one is called R.I.P. Rest in Peace, which he puts you to sleep and makes you rest in peace. You never wake up. He also has like light magic, which is perfect against Sting, because Sting, this is a Dragon Slayer, he can eat the power, the light. This is getting into this right here. I'm about to say is getting into spoiler territory. So, editor, I need you to you know what you have to do. I'm gonna give you a couple seconds. Basically, Larcade is another Natsu. He's a Natsu clone. Zeref created Larcade for his obviously evil purposes, which is why he smells so similar to Natsu. Obviously, Sting got offended by that because, you know, Sting kind of like looks up to Natsu. Sting was kind of beating him in the beginning, then Larcade made him hungry, and then Larcade was taking over the battle until Rogue, Sting's partner, he was already done. He was done for, but he like, this is what he said word for word: "Eat me." Not like that. He meant that he wanted Sting to eat his shadow magic. So Sting ate Rogue's shadow magic, and he transformed into the Holy Shadow Dragon Slayer. One side was one side was white with his light magic, and one side was dark with the shadow magic. And Larcade was using that spell, Rest in Peace, I was telling you about. He was using that to try to put Rogue to sleep forever. Rogue was trying to tell him to go into the shadow, go into a shadow, because, you know, obviously if you have shadow powers, you can transform into a shadow. But Sting didn't know how to do that, because that's his first time using shadow magic. So Sting, Rogue was teaching it. Rogue taught him how to go into the shadows, and he went into the shadows, and he avoided the Rest in Peace spell, basically, and Sting used one of the best moves, well, one of my favorite moves in the show. It's called Holy Shadow Dragon Silk, which basically has like little string silk lines coming from the whites, they got the white silk lines and the shadow silk lines, and he controls them like they're little puppet lines. He uses them as like silk like lines, and he just he pulls them together and traps the person in the cage. And yeah, it's like a silk cage. He traps him and he just pulls it together and it just closes in on him. It looked visually cool to me, to be honest. That's why it's one of my favorites. Number 7 is Natsu and Gray versus Margear. I like this fight because this is a Natsu and Gray team up. Who wouldn't like a Natsu and Gray team up? Natsu was having somewhat of a tough time against Margear. Gray came along to, you know, help Natsu with his newly found Demon Slayer powers that he got from his father. But that wasn't enough at that point, since Margear had transformed into his demon mode. He was destroying Natsu and Gray. He grabbed both their faces, smashed them into the ground, kept pushing their faces into the ground, and it was just terrible. Natsu ended up going into his natural Dragon Force, so he used that against Margear, but that didn't put him down forever, which wasn't what he wanted. Gray finished the job with his new Demon Slayer abilities that he got from his father, like I said. But it's supposed to say Ice Demon zero off Destruction Bow. And he shot the arrow at him when it went through him, and it made like a sprout of ice come out. It put Margear down. And I like that fight because, one, like I said, Natsu and Gray team up. 2, how badass of a villain Margear was to tank Natsu's natural Dragon Force. And 3, to see Gray's badass new transformation he just got from his father. That is a badass transformation. Speaking of Gray, at number 6, we have Gray versus Invel. I like this fight mainly because I think that is the first time that we've seen Gray get pissed. Gray got super pissed, bro. I think Gray's rage is even worse than Natsu's rage and Urza's rage, to be honest. Imagine thinking that you lost your loved one. Basically, this guy, Envel, also uses ice, but he was strong to the point where him standing in Fiore created a blizzard around the whole continent of Fiore. Gray is supposed to be immune to ice and cold temperatures, and he's supposed to be able to eat ice. But Gray literally said, "This ice I've never felt before," or something like that. That's the first time in forever Gray has ever felt cold. And Vel put like an ice chain around Gray's neck and put one around Juvia's neck, so they're chained together. He wanted them to fight and kill each other. Juvia and Gray came up with a plan to kill each other, but they didn't know they were going to kill each other. They had that anime moment where they were thinking in their head. Juvia stabbed herself with her water sword, and Gray stabbed himself with his ice sword. When they woke up, Gray woke up. She used her blood and put it inside of Gray's body. It was something like that. And Gray had thought she died, and oh my god, once Gray caught up to Envel, that is the angriest I think I've ever seen a character in Fairy Tail. Like, it was to the point where Gray had a vein, like a forehead vein popping out. He had those little black lines around his head, like on his forehead. Seeing that is what made Gray's Demon Slayer abilities go crazy. Gray socked Envel in the face, and Envel used his ice to make like an armor. It was called Absolute Ice Shroud. Gray turns around and he breaks a piece of his ice off, like breaks a piece of the Absolute Shroud's armor ice off, and then he uses that ice for himself, which basically means now Gray's ice is now more stronger than it ever was, and he basically just beat the crap out of him. He made gauntlets. He ended it off with the move, he called it Ice Demon Zeroth Destruction Fist, and Vel just got clapped. Next fight, Wendy versus Azel. I like this fight because Wendy in this fight proved herself. She proved that she can be strong in this fight when she went one-on-one with the demon named Azel from the Tarlos arc. Wendy wanted to destroy the face, which was like a pillar with a face on top of it that was threatening to destroy, like I forgot either it was the world or destroy the Fiore or something like that. When they first started fighting, Azazel was destroying Wendy. It wasn't even funny. Like, I just felt bad for the poor girl. But mind you, Wendy is a little kid. Wendy is basically a little kid. She's not experienced with fighting like Natsu and Gagio and Loxus and Gray and them. She's usually the healer and the enchanter of the group. Whenever she fights, she enchants herself and heals people and stuff like that. But when she saw that her cat Carla, her Exceed Carla, was about to get eaten by Azazel, she went into Dragon Force and she controlled that whole wind, like it was a whole pocket of wind, and she was able to control that whole thing to just clap Azazel. Wendy finally proved how strong she could be against someone of Azazel's caliber, and that fight was just so beautifully well done that we saw Wendy's character development. She's not weak, she's not fragile, she's actually very strong, and that is the reason why I like that fight, because it was so just badass. Number 4, Gagio versus Rogue. This fight, I like this fight because of the one thing that cocky bastard Gagio says. I'll tell you in a minute, but like, this fight, Gagio was fighting Rogue and he was just destroying Rogue. Future Rogue had possessed Rogue of this timeline. It's confusing. He basically started clapping Gagio a little bit. Gagio, being him, he pulled a Natsu and he ate Rogue's shadows. And I'm just looking like, what the f? And the line that I was telling you guys about, he said that while he was transforming into Rogue, like to his not transforming into Rogue, to his transformation. Rogue was like, "What is?" He's eating shadows, and then after that they talked. Rogue said something, and Gagio rebutted back, and then this is the line that I like that cocky bastard Gagio said. He said, "Seems you've forgotten, since I'm such a nice guy these days, but I'll make you remember your fear for me." And I'm just like, you cocky bastard. They went into shadows and they fought, and then Gajo had grabbed Rogue's face, and he had threw it through the ceiling. It went so high up, like so far and so high up in the air, and then Rogue came crashing back down, bro. That fight was so beautifully, it was so beautifully handled. Number 3, E&D Natsu versus Demon Slayer Gray. This fight was so like, it was like it would have been in number 1. But it was just some things holding it back. Number 1, E&D Natsu would have clapped Gray. E&D Natsu would have clapped Gray. That E&D Natsu was stated to be able to kill Zeref and was supposed to be on par with Acnologia. He would have clapped Demon Slayer Gray. He would have clapped Demon Slayer Gray. We all know that. But the fight was equally on both sides. I don't. It was like very equally. I don't know. Basically, I'm not gonna get into, like, there's some spoilers, so y'all already know what to do. I'll give y'all a couple seconds. When Natsu woke up, he saw blood around Lucy's eyes, so he thought this girl named Demaria from the Spriggan 12 killed Lucy. So when he saw that, he did the same thing Gray did when he saw when he saw Juvia, and he thought he died. So Natsu transformed into E&D. So you remember that book that I was like, Mark Gear had a book called E&D, which those initials stand for Aetherius Natsu Dragneel, and basically Natsu transformed into this Aetherius demon. His flames were hotter. He had like red demon marks on his arm. When Demaria came back, she was so like, she was scared. She said, he's a monster. She said, how could someone be able to burn through my age seal, which basically means he burned through time. Natsu was looking for Zeref. He kept saying Zeref. And then Gray ended up catching up to him, because Zeref knew who E&D was because of Envel. Gray went Demon Slayer mode, and Natsu said, move. And then Gray was like, I will beat you, E&D, or should I say Natsu. It was pretty evenly matched. It was very evenly matched. We know that Natsu was clapping Gray. Come on. And another reason I don't like that fight is the ending of the ending of the fight. Ain't no way in hell Urza is surviving a punch from E&D Natsu and a punch from Demon Slayer Gray. There's no way she's catching both of those fists. Hell no. Ain't no way in hell she's doing that. I refuse to believe that. She caught E&D Natsu's fist. Her hand was all burnt. And she caught Demon Slayer Gray's fist, and her hand was frozen to the point where it's about to crack. There's no way in hell she was strong enough to do that. Sorry, by the way, sorry that this video may be a little long, but you know, I like to get in depth with these videos. Number 2 is Natsu versus Zeref, the final fight. This fight was so beautifully well done, except the ending. I wish the fight was longer than an episode, and the ending wasn't. I felt like the ending of that fight was rushed, but golly, Natsu versus Zeref. This is another spoiler, so I'm gonna give y'all a couple seconds to skip. Natsu and Zeref are blood brothers. Zeref created all of the demons from Tartaros. He created E&D. He created, which is Natsu, because Natsu ended up dying from dragons taking over his village. He ended up dying, so to bring him back alive, he had to make him a demon. Natsu and Zeref were fighting. They had to fight, you know, obviously, because Natsu wanted to stop Zeref from getting achieving his master plan. Natsu was fighting with Zeref. They were pretty evenly matched, but like Zeref was just playing around with him at the time. He was just playing around with him till Natsu went Dragon Force, and he got a couple of hits in, but this stupid idiot Mavis. Don't get me wrong, I like Mavis, but god damn, are you a retard for what you did. Knowing that Zeref was after her for the Fairy Heart, which Fairy Heart is unlimited magical power. Mavis stupidly runs back there to try and conversate with Zeref, knowing damn well that wasn't gonna work. He grabbed her by her hair and absorbed all the Fairy Heart, all of her magic power, and absorbed all the Fairy Heart, and he turned into this godlike creature. He stated himself that he surpassed God. He surpassed all space and time, which basically he controls all space and time, and he can erase you from existence. He can recreate timelines and all that. He was pretty broken to the point Natsu in his natural dragon force that he used against Margear. He basically did Fire Dragon King's Demolition Fist and Dragon Force, and he disintegrated Fairyheart Zeref. But Fairyheart Zeref was able to survive that. Like, he rewrote, but he rewinded back time to the point where he rewinded back time where he fixed a hole that punch made in the wall, and he rewinded his body back, and he survived it. And Natsu got one-shotted. He died. He actually died for a minute, but Natsu came back alive because the Book of E&D, Lucy rewrote the Book of E&D and brought Natsu back alive. And Natsu was evenly matched with Fairyheart Zeref. He got a new form called the Savage Flames of Emotions or something like that, and it was able to burn through Fairyheart Zeref's space and time itself. Yeah, he ended up burning through Zeref's space and time, and he ended up like one-shotting him, and yeah, that fight was over. Now we're getting to some honorable mentions. I'm not going to talk a lot about them because they're honorable mentions, but because this video is already long enough, you guys don't even watch. Some of you guys just click on the video and just don't even finish watching it, so it's whatever though. Honorable mention 1, Gray versus Silver. This is the first time Gray fought his father. He fought his father, and this is the first time that Gray got the Demon Slayer mode. Natsu versus Gajio. This happens earlier on in the season. Natsu fought Gajio, and that was a pretty good fight. Natsu and Gajio versus Sting and Rogue. This used to be my favorite fight in all of Fairy Tail till I saw this #1 fight. The last honorable mention is Loxus versus Raventail. Alright. #1 is Acnologia versus the 7 Dragon Slayers. Oh my god, was this fight beautifully well done. I just don't like the ending. Acnologia was hyped up for so long. I was happy to see what he was able to do. Acnologia is soloing the whole Fairy Tail verse. For a multitude of different reasons, but this is one of the main reasons. Acnologia is immune to all magic. No magic hurts Acnologia. They tried to trap Acnologia in the space between time. Acnologia just ate time itself, and he now was able to control space and time kind of like Fairyheart Zeref was. He brung the 7 Dragon Slayers to his inner dragon to his inner body. While his dragon form outside is wreaking havoc, his human form is in the space between time. He brung all the Dragon Slayers there so he could try to kill him. He was just destroying all of them. He kicked Cobra so hard, he spit out blood, stepped on Loxus, like he had his foot all up on Loxus. Like he was just eating all of their attacks till Wendy enchanted Natsu with all of their magical power. Natsu basically transformed into the 7 Flame Dragon mode. Natsu was able to use fire, iron, sky, poison, shadow, lightning, and the holy white magic. So basically, he was able to use all 7 Dragon Slayers' magic. He made this big, huge fist. His scarf became all scaly, and he one-shotted Acnologia. One-shotted him with that. And it was just such beautifully... that fight, to me, I don't know why so many people hate it. I love that fight. That fight was so beautifully handled. It was from Acnologia just destroying all of the Dragon Slayers to Natsu in that new form. It was just so beautifully well done. And yeah, that's my top 10 Fairy Tail fights, guys. So if you like this video, you want more Fairy Tail, because I love Fairy Tail. I'm gonna keep talking about Fairy Tail, and I mean, I'm not gonna just keep talking about Fairy Tail. There's other animes I watch, but if you like this video, like, comment, subscribe for more. I'm thinking about making another video after this, but I just not hired him, but I just asked my editor. I don't want to put too much on my editor. So, oh, by the way, my editor is my friend Keon. So I need y'all right now. I'm gonna put a link in the description to both of his channels. I need you guys to support him, because without him, these videos are not gonna be that cool. Subscribe to his main channel, Mess Apathy, and subscribe to his other channel with some of my other friends. It's not just his channel. It's him and some of my other friends who control the channel. Subscribe to the Cabbage Corpse. Cabbage Corpse. Obviously, you know how to spell cabbage. Corpse, C-O-R-P-S. Cabbage Corpse. All right, have a good day, guys. I'm signing off right now. Peace out.